to Grow, Plan, Live. So, today we're kicking off our brand new series of AI in the garden, where we'll be discussing how you can use artificial intelligence to help you save time, save money, and build out a new gardener as a brand new gardener or an even better garden as an existing gardener. So, today we'll be focusing on ChatGTP. ChatGTP is a large language model. You'll see the term LLM used, and it's just one of the most popular ones that you see used commonly. So we're going to go from this of an aspect of someone in an apartment. Our channel focuses on small space gardening, so we're going to focus on an apartment. Two things whenever you're building a prompt to use in ChatGTP. You want to always give ChatGTP its role in answering your prompt. So whatever job it's doing is, if you think of it as if you were assigning a job to an employee at a workspace. So ChatGTP is your employee, and you need to tell it what its job is. Always, we want to give it context also. So we want to give it a little background on whatever we're doing. So I'm going to give you this prompt. And today we're actually going over 3 separate prompts. So make sure you stay to the end to see how you can get these prompts to pop right into a copy and paste into your own ChatGTP setup at home. Now, this is optional, but I personally like to do projects when I'm doing something like this that I know is going to be ongoing. And the project section of ChatGTP is great because it also allows you to upload files for context. So if you've already got some things typed up about your small space, fantastic. I'm going to do this with the assumption that you don't have anything already typed up, and with the assumption that ChatGTP has no context about your gardening space. So we're going to do new project here. Okay, and so we're just going to name our project. In this example, we're going to be in an apartment on the first floor in Atlanta, Georgia, and our patio is going to be about 6 feet by 8 feet. So we're going to work with a pretty small space. If you've got more space, great. So I'm just going to name this one Atlanta ATL apartment garden, and then I'm going to say create project. Okay, great. So now it's named it. So I'm going to put this prompt in again. I will give you in just a second information on how to get to this prompt. So I'm just going to go ahead and paste this, and I'm going to read this out to you to kind of give you a little bit more information. So we're telling ChatGTP to act as a small space organic container gardening coach. Okay. We're giving it that's the role we're giving it, and then we're going to tell it its task. Your task for this prompt is to gather the exact info you need to design a realistic garden plan for me. The context is I'm a beginner gardener growing in containers in a small residential space. Now here, if you wanted to, this is optional. You could go ahead and put the amount of space, like I said here. For our example, we will be in a 6 feet by 8 feet patio space in Atlanta, but I'm going to go ahead and let it ask these questions. This is the easiest way, just to go ahead and just tell it to ask me 15 to 20 questions, one section at a time, that's going to cover my location, my climate, the hours of sunlight, the wind and heat, the kind of container sizes I have or plan to have, watering constraints, my budget, and things of that nature. And then we're also telling ChatGTP what format to give this to us. A numbered questionnaire with brief examples of how to answer each question. Now, this is going to be great because ChatGTP as a LLM is one of those things, what you get in is what you get out. We've actually put this in. We're in extended thinking mode here, and let's go ahead and just hit enter, and let's see. And it's saying we can answer in bullets and skip anything we truly don't know. So we're going to go ahead and put this down. We're going to go ahead and number this, and we are in Atlanta, Georgia. And I'm going to go ahead and put the zip code just for good measure. It's going to give us even more of a specific something. You don't have to do that, but like I said, it'll give us something more specific, as opposed to, because Atlanta's huge. You could be in Marietta, you could be in downtown Atlanta, you could be in a whole other county somewhere. So, okay. So right now our planting zone is the next thing it's asking us. So we're going to go to the USDA plant hardiness zone map and find out the answer to number 2. So let's put our zip code in, and it's telling us here we can just put our zip code in. So our zip code will be 30354. And then we'll hit the search button. Okay, and it's telling us we're in Atlanta, and it's giving us our hardiness zone. And I always tell people this: the hardiness zones do change. They look like they do this about every decade or so, 10 to 11 years. And so it can change. Now, this one's the same, 8A, but I know where I am, I'm in zone 8, but my zone sometimes is 8A, sometimes it's 8B. So I always just say zone 8 in my videos. So for this example, we're going to be in 8A. So we'll just go ahead and click on that. It's going to zoom us on in to our zone. Okay. And we're going to go ahead and pull down here, and you'll have more information if you want. So now that we know our zone, we're going to go ahead and put zone 8A here. What season? So we're going to go ahead and start for the spring right now, because that's where we'll be in spring probably in about another month here. Okay. And let's see what kind of space. It's going to be a patio. And then we're going to say 6 feet by 8 feet. Okay. How many hours of direct sun do we get at peak season? So we're talking about, when the days are getting longer here in the spring. I'm going to say 13 hours between 6 a.m. and 7 p.m., something of that nature. And this is really, I'm planning for spring, but that number 5 is going to be, like I said, it's for peak season. So that would be like, it's the heat of summer, like June, the most would be like 13 hours. Okay. What direction? Okay. We're going to say it's north facing, overhang, any nearby buildings. Let's assume we've got a pretty sunny area. So we'll say shade, like in the example that they gave us on how to answer. Shade after, we'll say 4 p.m. from the next nearest apartment building, since we're in an apartment, because there's probably multiple structures. How windy? We'll say pretty calm. Okay. Then for 9, do we get intense heat reflection? I'll say yes. Okay. Extreme weather conditions. I'll say strong thunderstorms in late April through late July. We'll say something like that. Okay. Containers. Okay. Let's just say we have something easy. So we'll just say we've got 10 5-gallon buckets. And let's say, so we can have a little variety, 10 of the 5-gallon buckets. And we'll say we've got 10 of the, let's make it interesting. 20-gallon grow bags. Now, of course, this is probably all not going to fit on that patio. I'm just doing this just to give us more information. Okay. Do your containers have drainage holes? I'm just going to say yes, because you can always add those with the power drill very quickly. And your drill bits. Okay. Are you open to specific high value upgrade? Okay. Yes. I'll just say, just to make it jazzy, can add 2 fabric pots, which we said we already had that. Actually, let's take this number of grow bags down to 5, since it's going to ask us about adding. Let's take that down. Okay. So will you water? Yes. Watering can. Okay. Watering can. Okay. How often? Let's say we're going to only be able to water only every other day. And that, and that sometimes that's enough and sometimes it's not, depending on if you build your own soil. And if you want to know how to build your own soil, I've got a video on that. I'll link that in the description. The more you can build in different things like vermiculite to the certain ratio, and they can help you hold more water, so you don't have to water as often. So those kind of things play into that. Also, got the free ultimate fertilizer guide, that's down there, because you'll need different fertilizers at different times. I'll be going into more detail on using AI on the fertilizer tip in a little bit, but we've got that. And also, don't forget to like and subscribe if you're getting any value from this conversation about AI and using AI in your garden. And also, subscribe so I can make more content like this if you're interested in this type of content. Okay, so as far as will you be away any more than 2 days at any time during the season, I'm going to say yes, like it says, weekends sometimes. So that's going to help us. It's probably trying to build some kind of drip irrigation plan for us. Okay. Do we already have potting mix? I'm going to say no, I don't, even though I personally do, but for a new gardener, you may not. And I'm going to say for organic, mostly organic, a practical beginner approach, because we do find out sometimes it's not easy to do organic. We do it as much as we can, but especially when you're in a smaller area, remote area, you may or may not be able to get to certain things. You would think you would, though, in a remote area, because that's probably the most organic place ever. And then let's talk about what are your top 6 to 10 crops. Okay, so let's say we'll do cherry tomatoes, we'll do cucumbers, we'll do peppers, we'll do let's do strawberries. Let's do yellow squash. Let's do onions. Huh. Yeah, onions are fun. Okay. And your main goal is to, I'll say, maximum food yield. You're in a small space, but you're trying to get as much food as you can. Okay. So let's go ahead. We've answered our questions, and let's go ahead and see what we get as a result. And just give it a second to think. Like I said, extended thinking mode's gonna let it give us, instead of it popping something out in 40 seconds, it's gonna probably give us 2 or 3 minutes. And you may or may not be aware, on the paid plans, there's also deep research. And deep research is amazing, especially if you're working on like a digital product or something that you're trying to sell. You can use it. Best uses for pain points, figuring out how to get pain points out of something. This is kind of a side topic, but I feel like I've kind of mastered getting pain points from deep research and ChatGPT. So if you'd like me to do a video on that, I'm actually about to launch my AI channel. That I'm going to do AI here, but there'll be a separate channel. Let me know how interested you are in learning how to do those pain points and pull those out for your own use, because you want to build, anytime you build a product, it could be a digital product, even a physical product, you want to build that product around what do people really need. We don't want to have to guess, and the blessing is with LLMs, we don't have to guess. We can actually go directly to the issue, figure out what the issue is, and go from there. I actually used that method to create this series. I went and discovered what were the pain points in this specific area. If you want me to do that, drop down some of the, I guess, the area. You don't have to tell me exactly your product, because I know that's, that can be kind of, people kind of keep that close to the vest, but kind of, give me kind of an area of, what you're looking at, what area, and what, kind of thing you might say, I want to do a PDF that addresses, helping people learn how to do X, Y, and Z. And just kind of let me know, and I'll see on our other channel if we can start getting something together. We may even consider doing something live on that to kind of, walk you through, or some type of workshop. But just kind of let me know. If you're interested in getting to the pain points. It's kind of a side thing that's not related to gardening per se, but it will help you build out any products that you're trying to get to. And we'll talk about feeding context into your large language models like ChatGPT in a mode of deep research, which is on the $20 plan and $20 and up plan. And here we are. It took it about right under 3 minutes, and it said, awesome. You gave me enough to build a real high yield container plan for your garden. So this is what it's giving me. information, and it's saying if it's north facing, the patio is going to often get less sun, so you're going to get less sun than you think, and then containers dry faster, so the roots are going to heat up. And it's telling us just kind of what we told it. So it's giving us a plan. It's telling us to use our big grow bags for our squash, a couple of them for cucumbers, and trellis them. It's telling us to trellis our cherry tomatoes, do the indeterminate cherry tomatoes. And if you want to know what indeterminate is versus the determinate, you can join my free school. The link is in the description. I break all that down for free in the classroom. Let's see, buckets is telling us to put pepper plants in buckets, and I can attest that peppers do grow in small 5-gallon buckets. I did it last year. The only thing you want to know about peppers, you need to have them in a partially shaded area because they will get sun scald if you put them in full sun all day. Okay, and then as far as onions, it looks like it's telling us to put the onions in the buckets also. Okay, which is interesting. It's saying you're going to get a lot of plants. I think that's interesting for the onions. I have not tried them in buckets that small yet, but that's interesting. And it says, and it's telling us, hey, if you want to do strawberries, great, but it's actually saying do them in the fall as opposed to doing them in the springtime. And it says you're going to get better results here. So here's our patio layout. Okay, it's telling us how to do them, what to put on each corner. Okay, and then it's giving us a timeline for Atlanta. Okay, and it's telling us based on the last freeze date, it's going to be March the 20th. But of course, these freezes can happen later. So right now, it's telling us to do this, do the onions now through March 15th. And that is a good tip. Last year, onion moths got me. And so there's such thing as planting onions too late, and it's going to make the pest pressure really heavy. So if you can get them out now, we're in February as of this recording. If you can get them out now, get them out now. I'm getting my onions out this week here. So go ahead and get those out. And then as you move on into later into March, early April, get those tomatoes out. You can start those now, but actually putting them outside, you can do that at a later date. So it's going to give us information on our watering plan, our soil, and everything also. Okay, so what we're going to do is move on to our next prompt. So we're going to stay in this same conversation, and we're going to use this prompt. Now, this one has some overlapped here. So we can take some of these out because it's asking us, about the location or hardness zone. We don't need that. And I've already given it the space, the sun, and all the direction. If you did not have that, you could build that from scratch. Like I said, without using the first prompt. But again, we're going to tell it its role. We're acting as an organic container garden designer. The task today is for it to build a complete garden plan based on you could just say my details. And then I'm going to say, use the previous context that I provided in addition to the context below. And let's see, what other context that did we not give it before? Okay. We talked about the wind before a little bit, and we talked about the containers. Okay, like for example, budget. We didn't talk about budget. And we didn't talk about, let's see, I already told it what I want to grow. And this time we're going to ask it to give us a layout plan. It already gave us the container recommendation. So like I said, you can use this one as a standalone, but I'm using this in the context of us doing the first one. Okay, and then giving us an 8-week, we already talked about watering, give us a soil and fertilizer approach, give us an 8-week action checklist to get us started. And then we're going to go ahead and I'm just going to say my budget. I'm just going to say my budget is $200. It's just something that's kind of in the middle. Okay. And let's hit this. And it's giving us saying that it's got a blue mat example, but it's probably out of our budget. So it said we won't give her that because that's going to be a little bit pricey. Okay, great. So we got about 3 minutes on this one too, right over 3 minutes. And it kind of said back to us what we said: a hot reflective condition, low wind, and strong sun until about 4 p.m. And I'm able to water every other day. So it's giving us our 10 crops, tomatoes. This time it actually added, in addition to what we told it that we wanted to grow, it gave us eggplant because it's going to thrive in heated containers and give a strong summer yield. It gave us okra as one of the best high heat producers. Bush beans are going to harvest fast, give us great yields, good for beginners, and also basil if we wanted an herb to grow that loves heat. So it's giving us new crops. It's building on the previous prompt. And then the layout plan. We talked about this earlier. It talked about trellising. It gives us even more details about what side, the 8 foot side, put this, and give certain things elbow room, things of that nature. It's telling us about the potting mix that you can do 80 to 90% potting mix and compost. Of course, this is going to be your choice. Like I said, we've got a video on making the soil from scratch because when I use the soil from the big box stores, I realized it's just a lot of that stuff is just not. It's if you're trying to keep things pretty clean and you have allergies or you've got eczema, or you're like me, a celiac like me, where you're allergic to almost everything you take in. I mean, it's if you can make your own soil, it's great, and that's linked in the description. And so it talks about the fertilizer. It doesn't really give you a whole lot of details on how to make it, but it talks about you can do a ratio there. And here's our 8 week checklist, which is really the main thing we got out of this specific prompt. Telling us again, really looking at about the third week in March of being your last freeze, but of course, last freeze can happen as late as the end of April. And so it's telling you, set up your trellis systems, get your soil together, make sure you've got your drainage. And then the second week, you're going to fill your containers and start your onions. And it's going to continue to go down and give us an 8 week plan. Okay, so stay tuned. This is our last prompt. Okay, so in this one, we're going to ask the system to actually give us a drawing, something like a drawing that's a layout of the actual garden. So in this one, we're going to tell it its role. It's going to act as a small space garden layout designer. The task here is to create a layout plan that maximizes sun, airflow, and easy watering. The context here is we've given it that already. Railings. I'm going to say we've got railings. And then the output format, we're telling us to give us a sketch there, give us a legend to show what's what, and some layout rules. So let's go ahead and put this one in and let's see what happens. This is just a method of helping you save a little time to say, let's kind of shortcut and let's go straight to it. Let's set this garden up. Let's inform. Let's do a little bit extra up front and inform the system. And of course, LLMs, they make mistakes all the time. They do what's called hallucination. And so they can be so wrong. So always remember with these that you take this information with a grain of salt. You're going to have to, at some point, just kind of get out there and try some things in real world to kind of see what's what. There's also ways to actually get the LLM to grade itself on how accurate it is. That's going to be for our other channel. This only took about a minute and a half, so it's giving us a sketch. And it's telling you it's not perfectly to scale, but it's just a placement map. So it's giving you the north railing versus the south axis, and it's telling you to put, T would be, and it's telling us what it is. So T is for tomatoes, K is the cucumbers, Q is our yellow squash, P is our peppers, F is our big peppers examples here. So it's giving us all of that, and it's giving us our layout rules to follow, telling us how to group things based on how much water they need. So this is great, and it actually will keep on going. Of course, ChatGPT tends to do things with open-ended prompts, so it tends to tell you, hey, if you need me to do this, tell me and I'll do this also, which is great. So you can continue the conversation on your own within your project as long as you like to. But I've enjoyed talking to you today about how to use ChatGPT as a new gardener or as an existing gardener that just wants to kind of improve your space using artificial intelligence. Remember that we've got the Ultimate Fertilizer Guide for free, linked in the description. Join our school to get these prompts. That's the way to get these 3 prompts today, and you can just copy and paste those directly into your ChatGPT in the order you'd like. Got some videos coming up next on how to get help on specifics on fertilizer, watering, things of that nature. If you haven't already, hit like and subscribe so you can get that information once it's posted. And if you want to follow the channel and follow this, if you had any value, if you received any value from that this video, let me know down in the comments. Again, let me know if you want to do the pain points video. But for now, let me know any other topics you want me to cover again. And I want to thank you for joining me, and I'll see you next time.